Oh, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday service. I am joined tonight by Mr. Ian Hartoff and Mr. Christopher Joseph Buchholz. How are we doing, gentlemen?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, just great.
If everybody's wondering tonight, why has Ian suddenly developed quite a deep, booming voice, don't worry, puberty hasn't hit. He's got himself a new microphone. He's got himself a nice condenser microphone. Very posh, yeah. So, look at that, Ian. 15 quid off of Amazon, was it?
Yep. Can't argue with that.
No, you can't. No, fabulous stuff. How are we all doing tonight, gentlemen? I'm afraid we're not being joined by Mr. Drew of This Manton because he was away at a festival and he's come back feeling a little bit unwell. So,
festival, post-event malaise, isn't it? I think there's quite a regular one where it goes round after Telford. You know, all these people loving at Telford, and now I feel like, and it's like, post-Telford flu. Well known.
Yeah, we're all well versed in that.
Yeah.
So what have we been up to this weekend, projects wise?
Since the last show, I have to admit my focus has been on the Stratos predominantly. So we now have shiny bits.
Ooh.
This section is not yet complete, but we do have a hinge thing what works.
Excellent.
So look, spare wheel area and things. So that's actually really, you know, when you do a little thing and you think, oh, that's fabulous, I'm pleased with that. What I am very pleased about is what's going on under that chin. There's the most beautifully produced photo etch grill that's sat in there. You can see that, but you can see the radiator detail through it.
Yes.
And I'm very, very pleased with that. Very pleased with it. If you're not careful, it does go too far forward, and then it's a little bit of a bear to put up. But yeah.
Damn it! Wrap her up again.
Okay, wasn't me. So that's coming on. Back section is about ready. So these bits have only, this section and the rear section and various pieces have only had a couple of coats of clear. They need another coat of clear and then a flat and a polish to get them to match the front. As you can see, there's a bit of orange peel going on, but
yeah,
that ain't far off done, you know. Now
I was just going to say to you just now that certainly that finish looks absolutely stunning. It really does. It's inspiration for me to finish off that Zach Speed Escort, so which I will need to do in the next couple of weeks or so.
So that's I want this, to be honest, I want to get this done. I did promise Andy it for Telford, but at the minute it occupies an awful lot of space in the workshop, as you'll expect. Of course, following on from last week's show, no sooner had I come off camera than I realized I had a set of flame masks for that 50 convertible that I've been working on.
Oh, lovely.
So very abruptly that happened.
That is very abruptly.
Yeah. It's now had 3 coats of clear, so it's at a point where it needs to cure off for a few days. It spent a good bit of time in the dehydrator at 50, 60 degrees, which has given it a good, but I think another few days wouldn't hurt. And then it'll get a buff, it'll get a flat back and a polish. I'm still undecided about the candy color. There's a purple and a green that are vying for it, but a couple of people have also just said to leave it in the silver. Spark.
I like that. When you say another few days, do you mean just another few days out in the open, not actually actively in the dehydrator?
No, not in the hydrate. Just to finish off.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm in the loft, if it's not particularly warm, it will go in, and I'll just crank it up for an hour, just here and there, just to. But it's gassed out and dry now, and you can tell it's dry to the.
Yeah.
You can hear that. You can tell it. You can. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, that noise, that sort of tappy noise that you get with reasonably hardened clear coat. Interior's in primer. I know my scheme for that, so that's making progress. Chassis been modified for about 5 years, so that just needs painting. Wheels are ready. Yeah, it's might actually be done very soon. I'm going to show on the 31st. So I was thinking to maybe hopefully take it to that as a finished item if I can. That'd be quite nice. But as I say, I'm still debating the final colour. But there you go.
Mm-hmm. Chris, you have been at a show, haven't you?
I was at a show. There's our booth at the Silicon Valley Scale Modelers booth at the event in San Jose called Spirit of 45, which is pretty neat. And there's a whole selection of things here. We had a display there. That's Bob Meyer's Panzer IIIs, which just amazing work there. And then this other stuff we had stuff from me. There's a Martin Maryland of mine. I'm gonna flip through them pretty fast here, Jonathan. There's Eugenie Ray's Yak 6, which is built from probably the worst kit in the world.
I think I know what that worst kit in the world is, because I think that was one of the first kits I ever reviewed for a magazine.
Yeah.
Yes, but yeah.
Almost built on a dare. But
agricultural, I think, is the best way of describing that kit. But
yeah, she did a fantastic job. And Randy Ray's howitzer. Randy's lots of great artillery.
Yeah.
That's my Hellcat, which had a bit of a mishap on the way home, but is totally fixable once again.
Bit like the real thing.
Yep. Firefly Mark 1. There's a hint to everybody. Not a lot of Far East figures available. You got a lot of guys in full on Northern European waters type gear, but not a lot of guys in Far East attire. And then the Mustang that I finished earlier, the Arma April finally came. All done.
Arma August.
This is the thing I just finished. This is the Airfix. It's not totally finished, honestly. I put the propeller on just before I left for the event, and I don't have the pitot on or the aerial and some things like that, but it's getting there. And the figures always draw a lot of attention. And there's me and my daughter at this event at a place called History San Jose, where a lot of the old buildings from San Jose were relocated into a park. It's almost like a little old town time capsule in the middle of San Jose. So it's a perfect place for this sort of thing. And lots of cool. There you go. The Burma Theater was represented. So hopefully people appreciate that. Had a nice conversation with that gentleman whose father served with Field Marshal Slim. And there I am looking at an R1830 in a tent. The whole full-on engine on a stand. Very impressive. And then finally, they had lots of Jeeps. This is the neatest one because it was painted as a Navy Jeep. And one of the things I learned from the restorer is when the Navy got these Jeeps and they painted them gray, they left a lot of stuff green. The underbody was all green. It came from the factory green. So the Navy just painted stuff gray that they could see. So
that makes sense.
If you're building a Navy Jeep, now you know.
Yeah. Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
Fun day.
Yeah. We had a Jeep yesterday. I didn't take any photographs of it though. At the Jadlam show, there were a couple of Jeeps out front, but I was so busy on the stand that I didn't get a chance to go outside and have a proper look at it. So
busy Jadlamming.
I was busy Jadlamming. Talking of which, I will just quickly do a summary. Although I'd say at the moment outside it's more of an autumnary than a summary. but it was very good. I want to say a big thank you to Andy Farmer for getting me on board with that. I know we were hoping to have you there, Ian, but the stars did not align, did they?
No.
So that was a pity. But yes. So here we go. Present invite, share screen. Come on, screen. There we go. There is some highly evolved ape from Dudley outside the Jadland place with his natty Tamir shirt on. That was the stand with a beautiful checkered tablecloth, which works very well with this kind of stuff. And there is some branding, and there is a full view of the oops, Daisy, my Mac is telling me it's going to shut off. Oh, hello, compressor. That's because I've just turned
The revolt of the machines.
that's because I just turned the plug on. That's why. There is some built-up models from the shop, and there is my travel case and everything. That was me setting up for the show. There's a poster for the event, and that was what I started yesterday. Which I've got to say, less than just over 24 hours later, I started chucking paint on it tonight. So we'll come to that in a second. So we'll just have this is just a quick run through of the F-35, Tamir F-35. What can you say? It's Tamir, so it is absolutely splendid. No issues whatsoever. And then in between that, I was also working on the M36 as well. So just moving things around. Oh, that was yesterday, trying to find all the sprues, frames. So I just got some masking tape and Tamir tape rather, and wrote the frame letters down on there. That's much quicker. That's a much better way of identifying them. That was spare track clip holder, a genuine stealth aircraft. It's actually invisible. And there is an empty sprue, an empty frame rather. So we're all done with that one, and a new fan. So he was very keen to join in. And that was the end of play yesterday, where I had everything at that stage. And there's myself and Mr. Farmer in front of the fire escape. So insert your own jokes. And that was when I got back last night and carried on with the F-35. So, talking of which, we will. Oh gosh, my camera's decided not to work again.
We're having a good night, aren't we?
I am. This happens every week, and it decides to.
Well, it was me last week, wasn't it? So
there we go.
It's your turn this week.
Yeah, it is my turn this week. So, what have we done today? We have got round to doing the first bits of underpainting. So that's the basics for the cockpit done there. We've got let's get my camera up properly. Ooh. It's where StreamYard have added all these extra features. It crowds out the screen, so you can't actually see what you're doing. So we've got that there, and we've also got all these innards, which have all been painted and primed and everything. So that is at a stage where I can start doing some detail painting on some of these parts and actually start piecing it together. We've got the cockpit tub is all painted, so we just need to gloss that, put the decals on. And let me just go and grab the M36, which there's a bit more to do on that. So we got the spare tracks in yesterday and the light guards on, and we've put the bogies on. You've seen that, and we started putting the turret cage together. So I shall be back in Glastonbury again on Thursday because I'm at the Cars at Jadlam event, and I shall be carrying on with the big 1/12 scale Tyrrell. The 1971 Tyrrell, Ian?
71, 70.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, 71, 72. At the beginning of the 71 season, Tyrrell had bought for Jackie Stewart one of the first of the March cars that, but it was rubbish. No, Ken decided he could do better. So in his literally in a wooden garage, they built what became a world-beating Formula One car chassis. So chassis 1, 2, and 3 were all built in that.
Oh,
Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Were all built in this building. Now and the funny thing is, if you are a bit of a motorsports enthusiast, you will know that over the last couple of years, that building has actually been uplifted from where it was and is now on display. I want to say at Brooklands, but I might be wrong. It might be at Goodwood, and I'm having a moment about it. So anyway, so you can actually go to the original building that Ken Tyrrell designed that car and built that car and its predecessors in, and it still exists. It's a nice bit of history, that.
I must go to Brooklands at some stage.
Brooklands. I was at Brooklands with the guys from Aoshima when we were working with McLaren on the long-tail GTR kit and the MP42 series. And the couple of the guys from Aoshima had flown over, and we went to Brooklands, and we were walking, and they were like, "Oh, we want to see the banking." So as we walked up the hill to the banking, the Napier Elton Sabre came round the bend at a steady pace, shall we say, because they don't push it particularly fast in that. Oh, noise was just, and there were two very, very excited Japanese guys, just like. That was a really nice little moment. So, but that's where that in the cafe at Brooklands is where the decision was made that BMAX Aoshima would do their Porsche 935 racing series.
Very nice.
Things that happen when you're doing other stuff.
I was going to tell a very similar story, but no, we'll tell it another time. But it's about kit decisions being made in cafes, and yeah, I can tell you a couple of stories of that, but we'll save that for when Drew's here, because I think he actually took part in one of them. So shall we move on to the news? And well, we have IBG are doing the Spitfires to end all Spitfires. Really, they are pretty much cornering the market, quite frankly. So they've now got some photographs of test shots, and this is the Marmite moment, isn't it? Because some people like the fact that they're in 72nd scale, they're putting all the riveting onto them. Some people really don't like them. So we'll skip through the images here.
I think. We've had this before, where the images are taken with a high contrast to show the rivets. I think the proof is going to very much be in the pudding. When that's in your hand, then you can make an objective decision about whether you think that's too much. So I understand that some people have reacted quite negatively to it. Fine, but that's their prerogative. I'm very much when I've actually seen it in the flesh, I'll believe it kind of take on it. What I will say is,
I saw the test IBG's IAR 80, which had a lot of rivet detail, and it in person just didn't seem so exaggerated.
No.
So my fingers are still crossed.
I'm not having a few issues with Chris here, you know.
What is that?
Well, he's doing a Dalek from my end.
No, you're doing a Dalek.
Yeah.
Exterminate.
Now that's quite interesting.
Okay.
They've got the different oil coolers there for the Mark 1s and the Mark 2s, and they've molded them pretty much hollow most of the time. Most kits in this scale, those are split into 2 parts, but I think what we're seeing here is some very clever slide molding, and yeah.
It's interesting that there's 3 different variations on the latest style. And I'm racking my brains at the minute. I think one of them was one of the PR variants that had a higher capacity oil cooler.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm
sure somebody in the comments will be able to put us right as well. Here we go. Griff here says, hot take, the rivets aren't that bad. I know from this week that I was photographing some bits and pieces, and certainly when once I'd taken the photographs and I actually looked at them on screen, I thought, oh goodness me, everything looks horribly exaggerated. But when I went back and actually had a look at the sprues again, I thought, no, they're fine. And it's I think these high definition cameras, especially on iPhones, can be a little bit they can be a little bit enthusiastic, I think is the best way of putting it. Now the one observation I will make is I do hope IBG have come up with a really foolproof method of putting separate wingtips on, because I remember when I bought the Revell Mark 1, was it Mark 1 or Mark 2 they did? All I know is I got so far with it, and the separate wingtips drove me nuts, quite frankly. So unless you're Tamiya and you can put in a really foolproof system, but do you know what? That I'm not seeing anything there that's putting me off this quick kit, quite frankly. So now we come to the clear parts. Oh my goodness me, there is everything on these, every variation you can think of in terms of canopies and wingtips, clip wingtips there.
Is that suggesting that you're going to get that sprue in every single kit?
I would no, I don't think so. I think they're probably gating it off.
Yeah, I'm hoping so, because otherwise you can imagine the contents of your spares box is going to be quite impressive by the time you finish that, isn't it?
I love that they've got open and closed canopies. So you've got the fixed rear section with a canopy and no seam to futz with.
Yep. No, I get the feeling they're probably going to gate these off. So it'd just be bonkers in terms of production costs not to. So and in fact, I'm just having a look at these. I think I can see where they would gate them off as well. So but this just looks phenomenal. I'm also seeing there very nice. Yeah, the little panel on the clear hood there, and we've got color schemes. I do like their color schemes as well. I especially like the one in the middle, which is, I just like that combination of black wing and weird roundel proportions. And
that one, actually, did you read the description of that?
Go on.
That I've just read that while it was on the screen. Then that was the aircraft that escorted Churchill's flight to Paris. That's a nice little historical one.
Yeah. Russell Taylor makes a very good point. He says, "Be careful with the PR canopies because some of them did not slide; they were bolted." Yes, because they were entirely pressurized units. So so we'll just run through the schemes that IBG are doing. We've shared this on the Facebook page as well, so you can go there and have a look and pick your favorite. But yes, they will be. This is just the beginning. This is part of IBG's. I like that one. That does grab me. But this is, and I like Grot as well. Very Reggie pairing.
That's the one. That's the one I was just talking about. That's quite cool.
So initially, I would say I'm thumbs up from me. I'm not seeing anything that's putting me off massively, apart from all those separate wingtips. But I will get one and I will give it a go and I'll report back. I'm just having a look at some of the comments. Griffier says now for IBG to get their 48 scale IAR 80s.
I think they've been promised for a little while, actually.
And Colin Strachan says the name on the clear sprue lists all the marks covered, which suggests you get all of them. We'll find out. We will, as soon as these kits become available, we are going to invest and report back to you. But
someone is. I'm not.
No. I get the funny feeling. Chris. I'm using we in the wider sense. I get the funny feeling you will be reporting back on this, though, won't you? Explain to the ladies and gentlemen what we're looking at here.
Right. Okay. So, the current racing Ferrari in the GT3 championships, so the sort of thing you see racing at the Nürburgring and at Spa and Le Mans in the endurance racing, is a car called the Ferrari 296 GT3. Now, we've previously discussed that we will never probably ever get an injection molded modern racing car kit again, unless someone really does put their foot down, other than a BMW probably from Nunu. Well, to fill that gap, we were hoping one of the resin manufacturers would do it, and two of them have, which is typical. It's like buses. You wait for one and two come along. These pictures of the car with the raw resin finish, this is Kitbox, who are a Chinese manufacturer, PZY they work with, and one of the decal manufacturers they work with as well. So that's a full resin, predominantly curbside. Looking at that, it's got closed doors and a limited amount of interior, but it looks very, very nice. Now, they announced this a little while ago, and there's been slow development of pictures and stuff. These pictures have landed quite recently, and I just think that's absolutely, it's a stunningly beautiful car. But there's a lot of detail on there. The photo etched turning vanes, which go behind the resin parts on the nose. I'm not sure what that material is, the white material on the back for the spine. That's going to be interesting to see what that is when it arrives. But anyway, so that is the 396 G, I believe that's GT3. I might be wrong there. But then Alpha model have come along, and they've announced the 296 GT3, and there it is. So it's essentially the same car, but this one's got opening doors and much more detail. So I'm not sure. Not sure what we're going to get. But what we do know is they are both circa £150.
And that's for a 24 scale kit.
For a 24 scale kit. But, we've had this conversation before on here, both on the car show and on the general shows. Car modeling is very much restricted by licensing costs, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So, the mainstream manufacturers are not going to leap into a brand new 296 GT3 kit for me to build. I mean, if it came out in plastic, I'd probably have 5 or 6, because there are hundreds of schemes. So I'd pick 3 or 4 schemes, a bit like I did with the new 911 RSR 992. So, and probably the M4, if I ever get my finances in order after the events of the last couple of weeks. So, yeah, that 150 quid, if I can get hold of one, or if I'm lucky enough to have one sent by the guys at Alpha, which isn't beyond the realms of possibility in light of what we've had from them before. Very, very pleased with it. I just want a plastic one, please.
I think a lot of people would like a plastic one. I can't. I know. We've had this conversation where I don't think it's a lack of. I think it's a lack of will that kit companies don't want to do one. I think it does come down to the fact that it's all to do with licensing costs.
All to do with money. It is all to do with money, and there's no easy answer to it.
No,
because I was chatting with an old contact of mine on this subject recently, and he was talking about a conversation that had occurred around the potential of a kit coming out in plastic, and the car had 7 or 8 primary sponsors on it, all of whom wanted 5-figure numbers for the licensing for their logo to go on the decal sheet and the kit. It's never going to happen.
no,
You don't never make that money.
no.
Yeah. Just so Griffith's saying, licensing is insane. He's right. It's the problem. If you want, I'm told, and this is hearsay, so it may not. I'm told that the reason there are no Dunlop logos for the decal sheet in one of the Tamiya kits that came back out recently is Dunlop, the current owners of the Dunlop organization, wanted £150,000 for the licensing right to use the logos on the tire decals alone.
It's crazy. They pay the car in racing situation. They'll pay the team money to put the sticker on the vehicle, and then they charge scale model companies to put their logo on the vehicle. It's like, what's the difference? You're getting exposure in both cases. You just want to get paid for one of them.
But the thing is that those sponsors are paying the team that run the car to have their logo on the car. It should be, if I was a sensible racing car manufacturer, within the T's and C's of my agreement for them to pay, I'd have a cross licensing so that it could come out as a kit. It would be in my T's and C's of my agreement that once you've done this, if someone comes to me and says they want to make a kit of my car, be it an RC kit or a die cast or whatever, your logo goes on it. That's part of the agreement.
That's part of the agreement. Yeah, because
that's what needs to happen. But they don't. If you're thinking about it from a marketing point of view, tiny little logos on a Hot Wheel don't happen.
No, this is a bizarre thing, though, Ian, is that they're sponsoring these cars because they want exposure. They want publicity. So then a model manufacturer can say, right, well, we can expand your publicity and your exposure with a kit. And they're going, no, we want you to pay us for that privilege. And do you remember, Chris? Goodness me, going back wibbly wobbly, 30 odd years ago now, Fine Scale Modeler did an article on models and licensing. And it was a very interesting, because it was back then, it was all to do with the spectre. So I'm trying not to do that as Sean Connery. But it was all to do with the spectre of kit companies not being able to produce subjects because manufacturers would want hefty, great big licensing fees. And there were like vox pops from some of the leading companies saying how they deal with it. Fast forward to 30 years into the future, and everything that people warned about in that article is now just the norm.
Yeah. I think some companies, some manufacturers of real things, airplanes and such, charge a nominal fee for a licensing agreement because they understand that there's value in there's much more value in the exposure than there is in having your legal team spend hours and hours chasing down potential royalties that are going to be small anyway. In the case of automobiles, it's never been that way. Ian can attest to this. It's always been kind of a fight between people who want to build models and people who want money for the images that they've stuck on cars. And it's very unfortunate. I back in the day, I can only imagine how many kids grew up knowing what STP was because they put that little oval on a model someplace.
I mean, AMT's if you look at AMT's historic deco sheets, there was like a couple of racing numbers and a great big tranche of doubled up logos. And basically, the idea was you put them wherever you wanted, because if you looked at the majority of drag cars, they were in random positions on the cars anyway. So, yeah, I mean, it isn't. Yeah, I think it's beyond the need of the show like this evening. You could devote an entire show to this, but the thing is, we've covered it so many times, and it comes and basically it's the impact it has is the only way I can get a current GT3 car like that is a resin kit at an enormous amount of money. And as Jim Drews just pointed out in the comments, the Alpha kits are superb. We've seen that with the ones we've had for review and the couple I've built historically. They are stunningly beautiful kits.
Yeah,
but I can only afford to buy one.
Yeah.
Mr. Roy Sutherland of this parish, going back to Spitfire, says regarding Spitfires on the IBG, regarding Spitfires on the IBG Spitfires, regarding rivets on the IBG Spitfires, wish they had not riveted ahead of the main spar, as those were filled and sanded smooth on Spitfires. Yeah, I'm with you there, Roy. I think it will come down to when I actually get hold of one of those kits, is how visible is everything once it's been primed and painted and everything. So I'm gonna hold fire on that.
Well, I feel Roy's pain about that, because as a big Mustang builder, they came from the wings came from the factory with the seams puttied and primered and painted, and if you put a model out like that with a smooth wing, most of the modeling public would excoriate you. So I put out a resin wing for the Tamiya P51 a long time ago, and I didn't fill the panels. When I use my own wing, I fill the panels, which is kind of preposterous. But it's a modeling decision the manufacturer has to make. Do you replicate something people don't understand? Because I'm going to guarantee you, a lot of people just learned about the puttying of those leading edge rivets on Spitfire from Roy just now.
I'm also going to say that it's one of those catch-22 things, is that you do a kit, some manufacturer produces a kit and doesn't put the rivets on there, and people say, well, why hasn't he got the rivets? Put the rivets on there, people say, I don't want the rivets. In fact, Craig Sargent makes exactly that point. He says it's easier to add rivets than remove them, just because you can. Yeah, I'm with you there. Right, shall we dive on to the next bit of news here? And well, this is a company called Neverland Hobby, which for some people, Neverland is obviously Neverland is from Peter Pan. It's also a Marillion song, a very fine Marillion song. But this is the Wolf SSA. Hang on, you're all thinking, don't Revell do a Wolf SSA? They do, but they do the soft top version. This is a hard top version. So this is 35th scale. This is from Neverland, which quite a few people have been in contact with us and said never heard of them. And it's like, well, we'll see what happens here. So according to their blurb, they're putting everything in the kit that makes up the interior of the real vehicle. There are 3D printed parts, there are masks, there's also photo etch and what looks to be some vinyl mirrors and bits and pieces. Ian, that's no curbside model. That looks like that's
doesn't it?
Full spec. Yeah, I know I say this every week. I'll have to turn it into a meme actually. I like the look of this, but I do like the look of this. I think it's an interesting subject. And like I say, it's different to what Revell have given us in that it's a hard top. So between the two kits, you'll be able to do both variants of it. In doing some research for this show, apparently there are so many variations on the Wolf that you've got to know your wolves really. But I'm just going to call up the. Where's the? I'm sorry, I'm just looking for where the script's gone. Script's disappeared off my MacBook, so there we go. But yeah, your thoughts on this, gents?
It's very G-Wagon, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Quite a cool thing. I mean, to be honest, the German army has historically had a range of soft and armored vehicles that seem to stand out as somewhat different to what everybody else operates. They've got a very, very well-developed supply chain involved with stuff like this. And so Revell historically have always picked them up. It's interesting that other people are doing it now as well. I'm trying to remember what the medium size, like an APC thing that Revell did historically, that was an absolutely corking little kit. Because Revell also did things like the MAN 6x4s and the truck ones as well. That, I don't know, I suspect in 35th scale it isn't actually that big a vehicle. It'd be interesting to see a size reference for it. I can't see any dimensions on any of the material we've got.
Boxer or the Fuchs? The Boxer was the 8-wheel one.
Fox.
The Fox was the 6-wheeler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did so they did a good range of them. And a couple of other people have recently stepped into those. So it's interesting that, for a long period of time, if you talked about European armored vehicles, what did you get? You got a Leopard.
Yeah.
Modern, it was a Leopard variant. Then I think Revell did a Panzerhaubitze 2000, and that's obviously now been covered by a couple of other people in both 72nd and 35th. So it's interesting to see that there's a new wave of these modern German military vehicles coming through. Because, as I say, they are different. They're different to what you expect and see normally. Yeah, that's the one. That was a lovely look. Yeah.
And it also reminds me of the Landmaster from Damnation Alley.
It is of that ilk, isn't it? Yeah.
Same front end.
Yeah, it's got that look to it. But fabulous looking vehicle. So that's Neverland. So we hope, if you'll pardon the pun, we hope that lands soon. Right, next, I know. Next, Armour Hobby. Now we knew this was coming. It's their 72nd scale P36. Chris, is this one that's got your interest?
This is the one that has my interest. Yes, this is on my to build list, and it was on there before Arma announced it. So I'm very excited about this. A kind of an important airplane. I'm glad they sunk their teeth into the Curtiss Hawks, the pre Allison engine ones, and that's the airplane I want to build, the historical Phil Rasmussen airplane. It's exciting to see this. I'm really looking forward to this one.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that one. I like that. I like that other scheme. But yes, it is an important aircraft in that it is the precursor to obviously the whole Kitty Hawk and Warhawk story. Surprisingly, it has actually been kitted a number of times in 72nd scale. So we've had Monogram have done it, Revell have done it. I'm sure somebody will probably correct me on this. I think Aoshima may have done a P36 or an H75 in this.
They might have. I think there's a company called AML that did some short run.
Yeah, there have been some modern short run kits.
Did Hella not do?
Oh yeah, Hella. That's it. That's what I was thinking of. Hella. Yeah, Hella did an H75.
I remember building that because they did in the same era as the things like the BF109K and the things like that. They were always, there was this one shop in my area that had them, and I think I bought most of what they got in stock at one point.
I'm looking at on the left side there, the left page, the right column, first picture down. They give you an option of a fuel filler cap.
Yeah.
That's what I love about these Arma kits. It's just like there's no detail possibility that they leave out. You can build really any airplane you want, even if you've researched it to the point where usually you do the research and you cut yourself off and you find you have to do much extra work. These Arma kits are like, yeah, you want this one with this seat and this option, this propeller, that. It's all in the box. Don't worry about it.
We also got Craig again says, looks like someone needs to design the underwing gun fairings. Can't see any in the parts. Let's have a dive back, shall we? No, we can't really see them on there. Nothing showing on this one.
Knowing Arma and their recent methodology, there's a 50, something like a 70 or 80% chance if they do issue that'll be on a 3D printed.
Yeah, just to say that. Yeah,
because they've done it in so much. They were the people that really started doing it on the mainstream kits, weren't they? If you think about it, we started seeing it back in those double boxes and things like that. There was a couple of the Hurricane kits they were issued with 3D printed bits in. So interesting.
Here's one for you, Chris. Shane in Australia says the H75 is lovely. How much is different in this release?
I'm not sure. I'd have to go back to my books. I know that a lot of the differences between Curtiss fighters involve the engines and the cowlings around the engines. If you look at the Mohawk, for instance, there's a really big sort of Coke bottle effect. The engine's bigger than the circumference of the fuselage. So yeah. So it's, I'm not 100% sure, Shane, but we will see.
Peter Stacey says, I hope you're going to mention the new range of kits announced by Edward at the IPMS USA convention last week. Plastic parts for the main airframe with everything else by 3D printing. First kit to be the 148th Avia S199, then the 132nd scale P51B. Not tonight, Peter, but we're going to keep that for when Drew is next with us. So we'll let him wax lyrical about that. So we have seen it, but we're keeping that one back for Drew. Yes, fabulous from Arma. Now, Ian, this next one. Do you want to talk to the ladies and gentlemen about the significance of this car and also how much this kit is likely to cost?
This is a massively significant car in British motorsports history. This is Mr. Hawthorne's Le Mans winner from 1955. Massively important British racing car. And it's a model factory hero kit. We're back to that conversation we were having earlier about resin, weren't we? So this is a model factory hero kit. It's 1/12 scale. My understanding is that it is going to, by my maths, from the Far East price, you're looking 650 to 700 pounds.
Cool.
Now,
I'll have two.
It's in the same scale as the Stratos that that I've been building. So it's not a small model.
No,
it's model factory hero, and their reputation will precede them, no doubt. Wow. Now I can get into trouble here because our friends at Airfix and I have had a number of conversations, because my point of view is that car, maybe in 1/24 scale, maybe in 1/12 scale, so it matches their existing Bentley. This car should have been out in plastic by Airfix. Not ought to, should, because think about it, we're 2025 now. 70 years ago, that car was racing at Le Mans and beating everybody for a period of time. Why do we not have a good quality injection molded kit of that car? And it ain't covered in blooming sponsorship decals, so the earlier conversation about licensing goes out the window. But there you go. So that my argument is that's the first kit of a car that Airfix should have tooled of their own. And I will stand on that hill and shout about it until, yeah. But every time I walk past the Airfix stand, I see everybody else was saying Jaguar, and they meant a completely different Jaguar to me.
These turned metal parts look absolutely sumptuous, and already we've got 2 takers for this kit. We've got Jim Drew, who says, I about had a heart attack when the D-Jag was issued. Yep, I have one on pre-order, plus it has cartograph decals. And Paul Adams says, I have pre-ordered one of these. So yeah.
Neither of those 2 people telling me they'd pre-ordered one surprises me on any level.
No.
Jim and Paul and I have known each other a very long time, and Jim is a correspondent from Facebook. I've known for a while, so yeah, I've not. But
Paul Dunham says, I've got a Fisher Models D-Type that I bought from Paul not long ago before he lost his workshop to fire. Russell Taylor, I'm just going to Google this one actually. He says Lindbergh did a kit claiming to be a D-Type in 1/32 scale.
Yeah,
right.
Claiming is probably the right word. That's a very fair summation of that particular piece.
I'm hoping it turns up on ScaleMates. Do you know what? It does turn up on ScaleMates. Good Lord. I see what you mean about approximation. Bear with. Well,
Actually, coming back to a point that was made by Jim, that deco sheet is cartograph. As far as I'm aware, that's possibly only the 2nd or 3rd time, or maybe actually the 1st time that MFH have put cartograph sheet in one of these kits. That's a significant step, because some of their decals, and I've got an example in my stash, are prone to failure. Shall we just say that?
Yep. Here we go. So this is the Lindbergh box art for their Jaguar. I'll have a scroll through I'll have a scroll through the ScaleMates page to see if there's any pictures of a built-up model. But yeah, that's
well, it was a 1/24 scale. Rich Griffiths has just pointed it out. To be honest, I know a couple of people who started with the Revell XKSS and went a route to get, because it's easier than the Lindbergh kit. So yeah.
I'm just having a look to see. Oh my goodness me! Yeah, there are. All right, here we go. Brace yourselves, folks. So this looks to be the first release of it.
That artwork's just lovely, isn't it? Doesn't that? There's such a historic.
Down here we can see the rogues gallery of all the other boxings that there have been of it.
I would dispute all the ones that say new part.
But all the way up to the 1980s, apparently. 1982. That's actually a photograph of a model. Do you know what that looks? I see what you mean, Ian. That looks less like a D-type Jaguar than actually Penelope Pitstop's car, because it's paint that pink.
If I remember correctly, the D-type Jag is the basis of Peter Perfect. Was it Peter Perfect in Wacky Races?
Yeah.
Someone will correct me on that in a minute. Yeah, probably Richie actually, or Richard. But
you've got me googling. No, Peter Perfect's car was no,
because Penelope's car was based on a Cobra, either an AC or a Shelby Cobra. So I know that, but I come back to what we're saying, and a number of other people have said, why haven't it? On that basis, why haven't Airfix done it? It's a British car. It needs very limited licensing. You could do it in 12 scale, and it would sit next to the Bentley.
Moving on. Aerocraft. Now, this.
Who's pinging, by the way? Is it me?
That's me. Don't worry. It's my computer.
I thought it was me. Aerocraft are doing a 1/48 scale 3D printed Martin Baker 3. Oh my goodness me, what a machine. I have fond memories of an article by Alan H. Butler in Airfix magazine, probably around 1978, where he converted, I think it was a Frog Hawker Typhoon, into one of these with milliput. And what he came up with was actually very. It looked the part, but this is going to be 3D printed. So it's obviously at an advanced stage from aircraft at the moment. Looks smashing.
Interesting aircraft this, because this aircraft, theoretically, if you want to put all your lines in one place, theoretically that aircraft is responsible for the modern ejector seat.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the aircraft that Valentine Baker was flying when he was killed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Martin then devoted his future to developing, although he'd been working on them previously, he'd been working on ejector seats in much more intent. So it's an aircraft of consequence for what was effectively a single aircraft, maybe two. Don't know. I'm not sure whether they only built one or more than one or two. But that three cannon wing definitely looks busy, doesn't it?
I tell you what, and I can really appreciate now what Alan Butler said in his build article. I think he was referring to the intake and the radiators, saying that they really didn't look like they were up to the job, and that's probably what killed the test pilot. And yeah, it's but it's got, oh god, it's got so many kind of references on there, isn't it? It's that wing is definitely Mustang-like, but that nose is quite kind of like Hawker in terms of.
I mean, if you know your later development, the MB5, that's very similar. That wing, the MB5 is like a developed bobble top version of that aircraft, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Griffin, if I remember correctly, as well.
Beautiful artwork, though. That's
lovely, isn't it?
That is absolutely stunning. According to Aircraft, no, it's not on my notes. They did put a price up. We've shared that on the Facebook page anyway. But yeah, I am definitely liking the look of this, and what a fabulous looking machine, though. It looks like it's going fast stationary, doesn't it? It's on the ground. Brilliant stuff. Right, last two items for tonight. Believe it or not, this time round for our and finally, it's not actually mini art tonight, and almost finally, mini art are doing a field kitchen. Now you're thinking, haven't I seen field kitchens before? Yes, you have. Tamiya have done one, as have Eshi. But this is new. This will be new from Mini Art. Fabulous stuff. It really is. I mean, for people who complain about, military models and it's always soldiers and things. Well, these are soldiers, but these are soldiers in a slightly more peaceful, occupation. Although, to be honest with you, I don't think peace is coming to that goose. I think that goose is going to be coming to pieces at some stage, and I say that as a vegetarian. But yeah,
I think his goose is cooked.
I think soldier looks very fond of the goose. I think you can take that completely out of context and have a nice little story. That is,
I think
German
you're
soldier
right.
and his pet goose.
Yes, yeah, it's shades of Peter and the Goose, isn't it? But yeah, this looks terrific, and being mini art, you can see that this is going to run and run. This is going to be combined with goodness knows how many other kits. I'm sure we'll get an Opel Blitz with a field kitchen. I wouldn't be surprised if we get a Tempo 3-wheeler with a field kitchen. So you get it on its wheeled version and on its rigid version as well. I know Mr. Pollard isn't watching tonight, but I can honestly say this is probably one of those things that will float his boat. I wouldn't want to speak on behalf of him, but I can see this being something that would get his creative juices going.
You kind of get
Here
a
are,
feeling for what you do with it, don't you? It'd be lovely, whatever it was.
yes, absolutely. Here are some frames, sprues, call it what you will. Sculpting on these looks to be very sharp, and I know
each figure's on its own frame. Very nice.
Yes,
match.
Yeah, exactly. And there's your goose before it was cooked. So, and there is a photo for mini art, a decidedly restrained photo etch fret included there, including what looked to be straps for one of the soldiers. And there are your utensils. But yeah, I can see this. Oh yeah, Locks makes a very good point. IBG have done a field kitchen as well. Yeah, absolutely. But yes, this looks to be another winner from Mini Art. I have absolutely no. I didn't start this year with a compunction to build a field kitchen. Oh, I have now. It's the Mini Art effect, isn't it?
It's a diorama staple, really. That's just a great subject.
Mm-hmm. Jack Daniels is cool. DJC says the goose is Gertrude from Journey to the Center of the Earth. Isn't it nice to have viewers who are so literate? Brilliant stuff. And Darth Bilious 12 says the apron has considerable weathering possibilities.
Not wrong there.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. And Dave Swindle, right, thank you, Dave. Dave Swindle says that Aerocraft MB3, 50 quid, which, to be honest with you, for a 48, yeah, just going to say that.
Yeah.
With decals as well. And Dave, here we go. Dave says, run and run, unlike the goose. And Craig says, winner, winner, goose dinner. Goodness me. Right. And finally, I get to do my Alistair Stewart bit. And finally, we have this coming from Micromere. Well, what do you think that is, Ian and Chris?
Some stealthy thing crossed with the spaceship from Planet of the Apes. I'm not sure.
It is the Lockheed Hopeless Diamond. Now, apparently, this was one of the precursors to Have Blue, and it was kind of like technology demonstrator. Yeah, it's like a baby Star Destroyer, isn't it? It was part of the United States fledgling forays into stealth technology. And Micromere are doing it in 70-second scale. Yeah, Dave Fleming says, there we go. He says, concept shape, not a real Lockheed aircraft. Yep, so it never actually happened. But
this is one of the shapes that we see on posts being bombarded with radar waves in the middle of the desert, periodically, usually upside down, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a cool looking thing, though.
It is interesting. There are a lot of these stealth test things are really very, very interesting, but also in a lot of cases they just seem proportionalized to be weird for airplanes. I mean, this one looks almost like a stealth lifting body.
Yeah. We can rebuild him. We have the technology. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked there by lifting bodies. But Alt 92 says Have Blue. No, this is the precursor to Have Blue. And as Dave says, it was a concept shape. I'll see if I can find a bear with. I'll see if I can find an online image of the I want to call it the wobbling diamond, quite frankly. Hopeless diamond.
Yeah, I was looking earlier and there wasn't much.
No, there's some illustrations, just some drawings. Yeah, there really isn't.
Most when you search it, most of the time you get pictures of Have Blue, which is the concept, the proof of concept aircraft, which is a very different thing. For a start, it's got wings, which there isn't much of on that thing.
No, in fact, I will bring the Have Blue images up actually, because I built the Pegasus kit of the Have Blue, again wibbly wobbly, 30 odd years ago. But that was the Have Blue, so it's F-117 looking, but with inwardly canting fins.
And about 2/3 the size, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Kelly. And that's Have Blue concept art, so that's not an actual image. And there we have some CG renders of it. So yeah, sadly no Hopeless Diamond on here, but yeah. So there we go. That is coming from Micromere, literally a paper project. So
interesting.
Yeah, well, this is what we hope. And Carlos Ruiz says in the detail and scale book is no mention of the Hopeless Diamond. Okay.
It's a mention.
Is a mention.
Alt 92 says as a riff on the Hope Diamond. Exactly. And Dave's the man who knows all this stuff. There were 1/3 scale models similar to this new kit, but the kit is based on the original proposal. There we go. Right, brilliant stuff. Absolutely brilliant. It's always good to have an audience that know more about this stuff than you do, and you're putting it together on a Sunday afternoon. But anyway,
yeah.
Any other business?
I thought of something. So the IPMS Nationals was last week or the week before this one, and I was not there. However, they were kind enough to give me a plaque for my 18 years of editing the magazine for the society.
Well,
I'm very flattered by that. They also gave me an IPMS USA Life membership, which I'm extremely proud of. That's a pretty uncommon thing for them to do.
Congratulations!
I think I remember when they first voted this concept into being. This is the first. John Heck and I got these for doing the journal. And I think it was the first ones they've handed out in 5 years. So I'm very thankful for that, and very very. I will proudly wear my red badge as if I can get behind the scenes in high security areas at shows and stuff like that. So thanks, IPMS guys.
I think from the audience, I think we should have a round of applause for Chris there, because that's well done, Chris. There we go. Anna Marie was the first in there. She says, "Congratulations, Chris." There we go. And Philip Jones says, "Well merited, Chris." And Lee Cole says, "Well deserved, Chris." That's enough. We don't want your head exploding.
Yeah, no,
that's not like scanners. So we can have one more. Dave Fleming says, "Well done, Chris." There we go.
Like I always say, all I did was all I did. That's it. I did it. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't have done it. So
you showed up, which is more than a lot of people do.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
I got to say, Ian, I noticed tonight that on occasions, Chris was breaking up a bit, but you were also breaking up a bit as well. So
no. Something not right.
Yeah, it could be my connection actually. You have something to add as well. Do you have any other business? Don't you, Ian?
I've got a little product. I don't do my little producty things.
Yeah.
This might be not what you're thinking of, but this is something I've got. The other week I did a little video on my page, which I shared across about using super glue and talcum powder for filler.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, my friend Richard Middleton said to me, "Have you looked at this stuff? This is Green Stuff's World's ultraviolet putty." Which is, it's like a clear paste. I'm told that it may be from the nail art world originally. It smells interesting. I've been playing with it, so I thought, well, we'll do a little bit of a a little bit of a test, and it does sand actually. So I have my little UV pen that I use with the UV
the glues,
resins. So recommended time is apparently about 60 seconds for a thin layer. So talk amongst yourselves for a minute. So I was thinking, well, I don't know. I mean, is this going to be a replacement possibly for the super glue? The thing with the super glue one, this is a gel type material. The thing with the super glue one is I can put extra super glue in or less super glue in and get a different consistency. This is kind of fixed. I really don't know what you'd thin it with. But obviously this little pen light here, that cost me about £5 again at Amazon, the root of all evil, of course. But and the stuff itself was £12-13 in the model shop near me. So, and there's plenty in that little pot. My understanding is the tip is not to leave the lid off.
that's a pretty good. Good.
Because obviously sunlight, if it's exposed to sunlight, but apparently some of these daylight compensated lights, like I've got on my bench, will do it. Now,
I got to say, whilst you're doing that, Ian, I've just searched the old internet and found this on eBay, which is a UV extension gel professional multifunctional DIY nail art manicure blah 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 blah. £4.93, and it's got on there that it's LED UV setting.
It's quite hard. That's had a minute under that lamp. That's a 400 grit sanding stick, and it is sanding, but it is quite hard. So yeah, I can't argue with that. That's decent stuff. So and the benefit is, of course, is you can build it up in layers. So like here, where I've got a thicker top section, and when the I need to make this match up, I can probably do some rebuilding in there with it as well and build it. So and then obviously you just come at it from this side. But yeah, I'm not disappointed with that at all, from a point of view of what it seems to be able to achieve. You know,
Travis says, my daughter does nails and that looks and sounds very familiar. Mr. Dave Fleming of this parish says, have vague memories of Drew using sub-cure dental putty. I do as well. UV cure. And Anne-Marie says, nail techs have been using UV gel for nail extensions for many years. So when I'm down the high street tomorrow, I shall pop into my local nail bar, probably give them a shock of their life, thinking, why is this strapping 6-foot Dudley idiot walked in here? What does he want done with his nails? Well, actually, I could do with some for playing the guitar, but I might ask them what. But having found that stuff on eBay, I might order some after the show, quite frankly. So,
well, so this is the Green Stuff World product, which, you know, it's packaged for us. I mean, there's obviously going to be other versions, but that, as I say, it doesn't smell bad at all. It looks all right, and it's very clearly cured very hard on that model. Maybe a little bit too hard for what I was using it for there, but I think if you were building up a profile, or just the other one is obviously it's clear, or predominantly clear. So for around the base of a glazing or something where you don't want the filler color bleeding up through the glass, probably a benefit. But
I was looking at that and thinking 1/700 scale water bases, like carved foam with a layer of that over the top. That might work really well.
I mean, at £12 a tin, it might be a bit expensive for that, but you know, if there's other sources that are cheaper, and we know the one beginning with a big A is the one, then you're going to be able to use it for all sorts of stuff. But I just think that as a Yeah, it's sanding, and it's sanding really nicely. Actually, it's dead smooth.
Well, I've just found some on AliExpress for I think it's about £1.50 for a bottle. So for a tub, I tell you what, gang, everybody out there, if you can find some good links and good prices for this UV setting gel, do post it onto our Facebook, onto our public Facebook page. That would be brilliant. So. Anyway, right, there we go. I like to. Ian's got me intrigued now. So, because
I've made a habit of that over the last couple of years, really.
yes, Paul Budzig has always been big on using
stuff,
dental resin and stuff, and UV curing resin.
No, Paul's the dentist, so he has an unfair advantage over the rest of us.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
I love his modeling. I love his video.
That's why it's been good for so long. He had access to that stuff before anybody even had a notion of using it as a modeling product.
He's such a sardonic vocal delivery.
Love his videos.
I love sitting and listening to his stuff. It's soothing.
Yeah. Love his video. On that positive note, a big thank you to Ian and Chris for joining us this evening. A big thank you to everybody who tuned in. As ever, we had such a packed show tonight that we didn't get a chance to give you all a shout out, but we do appreciate it. We truly do. Until the next time, fingers crossed, we'll have Drew of Mantonshire will be back for the next show. You're both more than welcome to join us with that as well. So until the next time, as always, it remains for me to say thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay out of trouble, and we'll see you very, very soon. Take care, folks. Bye.
Bye.